Highly dilly. Real quick. So I just want to give you a fair warning. As I was editing the video show together, I noticed that in the beginning, the audio kind of drops in and out. And I don't know if it's going to be that way once the video's done encoding or not. So I just wanted to give you a fair warning if that happens, and I want to apologize for it. I told you, Sasha, she's getting up there, man. You know, she can't do it for that much longer. So you gotta be patient with me, okay? I'm working on trying to fix that problem, but I just wanted to give you a fair warning, okay? The audio is probably chopping out right now. The video is probably all choppy as well. So I apologize to the viewers. I apologize to the listeners, but you know, we're keeping it together as best we can. I only got so much duct tape. But other than that, thanks for watching. Enjoy the show. Hopefully, I'll see you on the next one.
And it was just another day, yeah.
Just another day.
Until I went to the movies, and now it's a movie Chewsday. A movie Chewsday. Until a movie Chewsday.
Yellow, and welcome to Movie Chewsday. It's a day where I sit at my cluttered desk and I pretend that there's someone out there who cares when I talk about the movie news and the trailers and the movies that I've seen. Before we get into the movie news, let me just get something off my chest real quick. So I've recently become a huge Tom Holland fan. I mean, I liked his whole portrayal with Spider-Man and stuff. I like what he did with all that. But like, I never like actually did any research on him or look into him as an actor back when he first got announced to being Spider-Man. I think like, well, maybe I did. I did like really brief research. I just wanted to see like what his filmography was. And I think out of the list of movies that he had done, or just the projects he's done at that time, the only movie I had seen him in was In the Heart of the Sea. So I was you know, he was good in those movies, right? But I didn't really go any further into him as a person. So recently he did a interview on the Nerdist podcast with Chris Hardwick, and I fell in love with his, like, him as a person. Like, he's one of those people that just gets it, you know. And to my surprise, dude, like, I had no fucking idea that he was British, because like I said, the only movie I had saw him in besides Civil War and Spider-Man was In the Heart of the Sea. And in that movie, I don't think he has an accent. I can't remember if he does or not, but I don't remember him having a British accent, right? And obviously he doesn't have it in the Marvel movies. So I was assuming that he was like just straight up American, at the very least Canadian, right? So you know, the Chris Hardwick, you know, the Nerdist podcast starts up, and he's like, "Oh, hey everybody, you know, I'm here with Tom Holland, and welcome to the show," right? And all of a sudden, dude, he just gets on the mic. He's like, "Oh yeah, oh thanks for having me. I really appreciate it being here. I'm really excited. Yeah, I am Spider-Man." Like, it was fucking weird, dude. It threw me for a loop, because usually, like, with foreign actors, you can kind of tell if they may have like an accent, or they may be foreign without like really looking into their whole like history, because usually they do the roles where they have in like a country accent, like, you know, in The Walking Dead, like Andrew Lincoln is, I think he's British. I think Maggie is Australian, but you know, they got that like southern twang in their voice. They even do it on Preacher with Ruth Negga and what's his face? Man, I'm blanking right now. The guy who plays Jesse Custer. Not Luke Evans. Dominic Cooper. There we go. Man, I'm jumbled up in there. But you know, they all like kind of do that kind of southern drawl with their accents, so it hides like their foreign accents, right? So, and they have so much twang in it that's like when you hear them do interviews, it's like, "Oh yes, oh, how you doing? Yes, I'm very, very happy to be here. Like, yeah, when I channeled the part, it was just so emotional. You know, I really felt the moment. You know, like, it always throws me for a loop. But like with Tom Holland, it was just, you know, with the roles that he's done, he's usually got that kind of high pitched, kind of scratchy voice, you know, like the awkward teenage kind of voice. Was like, oh hey guys, hey I'm Spider-Man, what's going on? Hey, you know, web sling, woo, you know. So it just threw me for a loop. So that was cool that he did that. But it was a really good interview, and I recommend that you go and listen to it if you haven't already. He's a really cool, down to earth guy. He gets it at what it means to be an actor, where it's like he takes it seriously, but he doesn't take it too seriously. You know, he was saying how he doesn't understand how some actors out there just like take themselves way too seriously and are like really standoffish and shit with like their fans or just with people in general, you know, like they build themselves up too much and kind of build into their hype, where he's just like, nah man, like I'm happy to be here, I'm happy to, you know, I'm real happy to be here, you know, and you know, it's a privilege for me to be doing this, and I'm really excited. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm an actor, you know, it's what I do. You know, I walk around, I wear tights, I wear red and blue tights all day and put a mask on, and I'll pretend to be a superhero. It's freaking awesome, you know. It's like, it's kind of Australian, but whatever, you get what I'm saying. But he's cool, dude. I heard one story about him where because he's doing like the whole press tour for Homecoming, and somebody was saying how he always brings his brother with him because he doesn't want to fall into the hype that everybody is giving him, to where, you know, because he's like, when he walks around, you know, he's got so many people who are like congratulating him and saying how great he is and he's the man, he's number one, all this other stuff, he's like the greatest ever, and he's afraid that will all get to his head eventually. So he keeps his brother with him to kind of like keep him grounded, you know, and keep him humble. So I think that's really cool. I know rappers do that kind of shit too, where they walk around with their posse and it's mostly consisting of their closest friends and shit. But I have a really hard time thinking that, you know, like who's a posse? Like Tony Yayo giving 50 Cent a lot of shit, you know what I'm saying, when they're on tour or whatever, just walking around in general, everybody else is sucking them off, and Tony Ayo just comes in like, oh, you fucking suck, you got a baby dick, and he's like, oh man, what you gotta do that for me, bro, fuck. I don't know, but he's cool, man. I really like him. I like his attitude, and he's made the very short list of mine of actors who, like, I wouldn't mind sitting down having a cigar with him and just going back and forth with some conversations, you know, whether it be about movies or just life in general. It'd be awesome. So yeah, big Tom Holland fan right here now. So happy to do that. Anyway, moving on. We gotta get to the news because there's a lot of news that we gotta get through, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's probably the most important segment of this episode, just because the trailers ain't really nothing to sneeze at, and the movie that I watch, you know, you'll see. If you stay, that is. So getting to the news. So Comic-Con just happened. That whole thing, you know, Comic-Con, which should be called Movie-Con, because that's pretty much all you hear about is all the fucking movies and shit that are coming out and TV shows and whatever. It's just, I don't know. I mean, they talk about comics, but I feel like the movies and the TV stuff drowns out a lot of the comic kind of stuff going on there. But so first up, there's a lot of news with the Marvel movies, what they plan to do, and, you know, this whole thing about Infinity War and stuff like that. That's all great. The thing that really caught my attention was Captain Marvel, where they started giving more information about that movie that they're working on. I think that's set to come out in 2019, I think, because it got pushed back for Black Panther last time I checked. But yeah, so it's gonna be set in the 90s. So is it gonna be like a prequel? Is it, you know, is it gonna, I mean, well, obviously it's gonna be a prequel. Not is it gonna be a prequel. Is it gonna be like an origin story? Are they gonna do like a whole thing with her origin story? Or are they gonna just kind of jump right in and relegate her origin story to flashbacks? Like, I don't know. The other thing is that her main adversaries in the movie are going to be the Skrulls. For those who don't know, I mean, I don't know that much about the Skrulls. I just know that I hate the Skrulls. I read a couple of comic arcs that involve those guys, and they're conniving assholes, you know, and I don't like them. I'm sure they got their reasons, but I don't give a fuck. I don't like the Skrulls. So I look forward to her beating the shit out of them when the movie comes out. For those who don't know who the Skrulls are, it's an alien race, and they're green. They got wrinkled ass Thanos chins, and they can shapeshift. And the comic arcs that I read was like stuff like Secret Invasion, where they had like snuck into the ranks of the Avengers and like disguised themselves as different characters, and it went on for a long ass time, and then it all kind of came to a head in this one story arc. I think it was called Secret Invasion, and people like who you knew and trusted like started fucking shape shifting and turning into like little green people and killing people off and kidnapping them and all this other shit and talking about he loves me kind of shit. And it was kind of creepy. So it's gonna be interesting to see them on the big screen. Fun fact, I could be wrong about this, but the Skrull or the Chitauri in the first Avengers movie, the Chitauri is the alien race that started out, as far as I know, in the Ultimate version of the Marvel comics. There was two separate Marvel entities going on with the comics. There was like the regular 616 world of Marvel that everybody knows and loves, the Amazing Spider-Mans, the Invincible Iron Mans and all that. But then there was another imprint where it was called the Ultimate Universe, where they did, like, at the time, they like reinvented or modernized a lot of the Marvel superheroes and shit. So instead of the Avengers, they were called the Ultimates. And I think instead of the Skrulls, they were called the Chitauri. And the reason why I say that is because in the Ultimate comics, they did their own version of a Secret Invasion story arc. And instead of it being the Skrulls, it was the Chitauri, and they were the ones who were like shape-shifting into people and shit like that. So that's a little fun fact for you all with the whole comics thing. I can't do that to you all the time because I'm not a huge comic person. So I'll leave that up to more experienced people. But anyway, where was I going? Anyway, getting back to the Captain Marvel shit. So the movie's gonna be set in the 90s. The Skrulls are gonna be the main adversaries, and then Nick Fury is supposed to be in it, and he's gonna have both his eyeballs. So not only are we gonna see like the possible origins of Captain Marvel, but we're also gonna see the cause of how Nick Fury lost his eye. So I'm assuming it had something to do with the Skrulls, apparently. So so that'd be cool. I don't really know shit about Captain Marvel. I'm gonna be honest with you. The only reason I have any kind of interest in her is I just like her character design. I like the red and blue outfit that she wears. I really like it. I don't know what the fuck her powers are. I don't know her origin stories. I just know that her real name is it's not Kara. Damn, because I always get her mixed up with Supergirl because they got the same last name. Her name is Carol. Her real name is Carol Danvers, and it always makes me think about Supergirl because Supergirl's alter ego, her alter ego, is Kara Danvers. So it's kind of funny how they did that. So I guess like that might be my whole, not obsession, but that may be why I'm so interested in the Captain Marvel character, is because I probably look at her as Marvel's version of Supergirl. So yeah. Anyway, that's why I'm excited for it. And I like Brie Larson. I like her from Scott Pilgrim. So you know, hopefully that charisma carries over into the Marvel universe. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the other reason why I'm really looking forward to this movie is I want to see how they're gonna link her into the rest of the MCU, because if the movie takes place in the 90s, then that means Captain Marvel was a thing since like before Iron Man had started doing his thing, and then the whole Avengers started doing their thing. So like it's gonna be interesting to see how they explain her absence. Like, is something gonna happen at the end of the movie where like the Skrulls like injure her or some shit and she just like goes into a coma and floats off or floats around in space or some shit, or what? Like I have no idea what they're gonna do. The other reason why I'm interested in how they're gonna like incorporate her into the overall story is because there was this one Easter egg in the Doctor Strange movie, and my buddy Steve from the Unlucky Dreamer podcast told me about this. I heard it from him and I heard it from somebody else, but I think I heard it from him first. But he was saying how there's a scene in the Doctor Strange movie in the beginning when he's driving his car and he's like speeding around the mountains and shit. Like right before he crashes, he's on the phone with like his agent or manager or some bullshit, some dude of importance to Stephen Strange. And they're kind of like going over some cases that he could like possibly get into. And I guess there's like one case where they talk about some woman who was, I can't remember exactly what they said, but I think she was like in a coma or she was comatose or some shit. And then she like miraculously just got better, like out of nowhere, like at the snap of a finger or something. Right. And he's like, oh, you know, and Stephen Strange is like, oh, interesting. Right. And then he crashes and fucks up his hands and all that. So I was told that that was possibly an Easter egg of them hinting at Captain Marvel. So then that brings into the question, where does Doctor Strange fit in that Marvel timeline? Because I was under the impression that Doctor Strange, that whole event happened after Avengers 1 and 2 and all that other shit that went on. I was assuming it happened around that time. So, but if Captain Marvel is going to take place in the 90s, and that may possibly explain her origins, then she was already a thing. So does that mean Doctor Strange was set in the 90s, or is it set in present day? Right now I'm going to assume it's present day because he was driving a badass Lamborghini. Can't remember what it was. I think it was a Aventador, or what's that other one? There's another one that they kind of look the same, but he was driving like one of the latest models of the Lamborghini at the time. So I'm going to assume that it takes place, that Doctor Strange movie take place in present day. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they do that. And then we go back even further in the timeline to the Winter Soldier, because you remember in the Winter Soldier when they were on the roof and Cap, Black Widow, and Falcon were interrogating that one Shield guy. He was like running through like some names of people that they had been keeping tabs on for a minute. And one of those people was Doctor Strange. He had said Stephen Strange was being surveillanced. So once again, when do these movies take place? I mean, we know that the Winter Soldier took place after the events of the first Avengers movie. But like, if they're already talking about Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange events happen like way further down the timeline of the MCU, was that also a movie that took place in an earlier time period? You get what I'm saying? And this is why I always bring up the whole like debacle when I'm just saying this universe that they're doing or that they're building is getting kind of crazy now, because we're jumping all up where out of place, and I'm fucking getting confused. I don't know when shit takes place, and I'm thinking if this person's over here doing this, then this person's over there doing that, and this person over here is closing up a fucking portal in the sky, and no one's coming to help him. What the hell were they doing? They're all fighting fucking terrorists that have people that explode when they get too hot and shit. It's all craziness. So anyway, long story short, or a long story that should have been short, looking forward to see what they do with this Captain Marvel movie. And I'm going to assume that Samuel Jackson is next up to get that whole young CGI makeover, since it's going to take place in the 90s with both his eyes. Or if they just probably say, fuck it, Nick Fury just doesn't age. He just always looks like an old dude that resembles Samuel Jackson, which is how it is in the Ultimate Comics. But anyway, we've talked enough about it. Let's move on. Let's stick to it. And that story was courtesy of IGN. It's where I heard about the whole Captain Marvel stuff. Now we're going to move over. Well, we're still sticking with IGN. We're like, I got the story from IGN, but then I got like the meat and potatoes of the story from Screen Rant. So sticking with comics, Todd McFarlane has announced that there's going to be a new Spawn movie, and he's writing it and he's directing it. So yeah, it hasn't been casted yet. Just all we know right now is that the script is done. It's going to be a fresh take on the character, so it's not a sequel to the old Spawn movie that had Michael Jai White. It's supposed to be, I guess he's like rebooting it. I don't know if he's still sticking with the original Al Simmons story or if he's going to change some shit around. I don't know what's going on, but, you know, the whole fresh take thing kind of, you know, scares me a little bit. It's also going to be R-rated, of course, because now everybody wants to make an R-rated superhero movie. He says it's going to be scary, and he says it's going to be badass. So, here's the thing. Well, wait, okay, it's going to be scary, it's going to be badass, and then he was saying how the movie isn't necessarily going to be focused on Spawn. It's more going to be focused on the cop. There's two detectives in the Spawn universe, like the two main detectives. I can't remember what the one dude's name is, but there's a dude who's like a real skinny, geeky looking dude with big ass Coke bottle glasses. His name is Twitch. And I guess the movie is supposed to mainly follow his character and him investigating incidences that involve Spawn. So Spawn is going to kind of play like a backseat role in the movie where he just kind of operates in the shadows. So he's going for that kind of spin. Maybe that's what he really means by the whole fresh take on the character. Hopefully, because I do like the Al Simmons story, the regular Spawn story, right? So, what else was it? Yeah, and then he keeps like, he was comparing it to the movie Jaws, how like the movie's called Jaws, but the shark kind of plays second fiddle to the other dudes who like go and hunt the shark down, the sheriff guy and the captain dude. You know, I haven't seen Jaws in a while, but I get the reference that he's trying to make. So first of all, it's good to hear that because, well, wait, hold on. Wait, shit. I'm getting jumbled. Let me just breathe. First of all, take what Todd McFarlane says with a huge fucking grain of salt, okay? Because this man talks a lot of shit, okay? I like Todd McFarlane. I'm going to say he's a good businessman because he hasn't, like, declared bankruptcy as far as I know. I think he's been getting sued by some people, and he's still walking around having boatloads of money, making Halo and Tom Brady action figures and shit. So I'm going to say that he's a good businessman. But he talks a lot of shit. And mainly with Spawn, because the good news is what they just described, what they want the movie to be like, fits into what they've said a long time ago, where because the new Spawn movie's been in the works for fucking years, dude. Like since the Michael Jai White movie, they've been talking about making another Spawn movie. I think there was even one time where Lawrence Fishburne was in the running to be Spawn. Like it was crazy. It was in the Wizard magazine a real long time ago. But Todd McFarlane had been talking about making a new Spawn movie for a long ass time. And the last time he talked about it, he did say that he wanted to do the movie in a way where it was more like a thriller type movie, like if you think about the movie like Zodiac or From Hell, where you're kind of like where the cops are tracking down a serial killer. He was talking about how you want to do the movie in that kind of way, where you got the detectives running around solving crimes, but then like Spawn is in the middle of it. So they're kind of like investigating Spawn in the process. So I guess they're running parallel with each other in the story. So what he's talking about, comparing the movie to Jaws and how he wants it to run, goes with what he said years ago. But the key word is years ago. Like I want to even say probably a fucking decade ago. All right. So just be careful. Don't get too excited with the news that he's doing. The other thing is too, is where the fuck is that new animated Spawn cartoon that you were supposed to be doing? Because that was the thing too that he talked about he was working on. And the last thing I heard about that was that they were doing concept art. Now, I know that animation is a very long process, but it's like, goddamn, dude, like it's been a long ass time. How the fuck does Castlevania make a fucking animated series before you do? Like, what the hell? All right. So, just be careful. The other thing that I'm worried about too is that he's directing the movie, and this is his directorial debut. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's cool that you're the guy that made Spawn, you made the story, so like hopefully you can capture the cadence and everything of the character. Whether you can capture it on screen is another thing, because I don't even know if he's ever even directed a commercial. So I'm kind of worried that he's in the director's chair at the moment. And I say at the moment because it's not too late for him to just pass the reins off to somebody else. Maybe he'll just be like, oh, you know, I don't know if I can do all this. I'm just going to go ahead and stick to writing. Like, hopefully that happens, but we'll just have to wait and see. All in all, I'm excited, but I'm not excited because I really like Spawn. I do think it's time to bring him back onto the scene, even though the movies are just crowded with superheroes. But this could be a chance to actually do a superhero movie in a different light, you know, where it's not just your standard, you know, this guy fucking dies and gets powers and he goes on a revenge quest to save his girlfriend, you know. Now they're gonna get into some fucking shit where he's stopping child rapists and fighting demon clowns and everything like that. So that'd be cool if he could like get that across. But I am interested to see if he can carry out his vision that he's got planned right now. But until then, I'm just gonna keep it cool. You know, hopefully it pans out, but you know, we're in a wait and see situation right now. Moving on to the, oh shit, god damn it. Never mind. I was gonna say, like, going back to the Spawn thing, I was gonna say if he's doing a fresh take on the character, are we gonna have to run through the origin story again, or are we gonna do the flashback thing? Like, are we gonna go into the movie and Spawn is established already, you know, he's back, he's got the suit, he's got the cape, his fucking wife is fucking his best friend, he's like looking at his daughter all pissed off, he's like, can't believe that you're fucking calling my best friend dad, all this other shit. Like, are we gonna go through that again? Like, hopefully not, because I don't mind an origin story. I do think Spawn, I think it's been long enough to where you probably need to do an origin story with Spawn to get people on board with what you're trying to do with him. But I do feel like his story can be told in a flashback perspective, which I think is how the animated series did on HBO, where it's like when that show started, they immediately jumped into him just being in the alley, fucking up gangsters and fucking drunk people and rapists and shit like that. Like, they jumped immediately into it and they just like told everything, like his whole backstory and shit, through flashbacks. But that was like in an episodic format, whereas like this is a movie, so that's where it gets a little tricky as far as like what they can tell and what they can't tell, or what they want to spend their time on and shit like that. So hopefully we can just relegate the flashbacks and just call it a day. Anyway, all right, so moving on to next news story. We're going back to IGN in full here. Ivan Reitman, who was the producer for the latest Ghostbusters movie, he was also a former director of the first two Ghostbusters movies, but then he produced the latest Ghostbusters movie with the girls. So I guess he was at Comic-Con and they were talking about Ghostbusters, and the people were asking him like, what's going on with like the Ghostbusters movie from last year? Like, is it getting a sequel? Like, what's going on with the franchise? And he was saying that there's still new films that they have in the works for the Ghostbusters franchise, and then they have an animated film that they're working on in the Ghostbusters franchise. There is no like official word yet on if there's going to be a sequel to the Ghostbusters movie from last year, but I guess like there are people in the offices at Sony who like want to do a sequel. It's just whether it's going to happen, we don't know. I haven't heard anything official on if they're going to do one or not. They did like kind of go dark when the first movie came out, and it flopped. It didn't get received that well, so they didn't really jump at the bit to say like we're gonna do a sequel. There there was like some a while back where I think it was like the president of marketing, of worldwide marketing over at Sony. I'm trying to find his name. Damn, what's that dude's name? Anyway, he was saying that like there is a sequel in the plans. They just don't know when they're gonna do it. I don't know if that's still true or not, because I don't know how that movie's done since it came out on video. I got on video, but I don't know if anybody else got on video. I still stand by it to this day. I think the only reason why that movie flopped is because motherfuckers were sexist. And this was that rare moment where the fucking sexist ass haters actually spoke with their wallets and didn't go see the damn movie, and which caused it to flop. Because I personally think that the Ghostbusters movie was pretty good. I didn't really think there's anything wrong with it, but on the other hand, I'm not a huge Ghostbusters fan, so like the fact that they like came through and took an old property and palette swapped it with girls for guys, like I get how that could anger a Ghostbusters enthusiast, but at the same time, it's the same as like just trying to modernize some shit. Like if you took a character who was predominantly white and you decide to make him black, like it's kind of like in that vein. So that's all I'm saying. But everybody just needs to chill the fuck out. It ain't that bad, you know. Especially like when you get the old Ghostbusters to co-sign by actually having cameos in the movie. Like what the fuck, you know? That's the thing, man. I don't know what's wrong with people these days, you know. Like it's one of the things that's pissing me off is that everybody wants to act all PC. Everybody wants to use terms like, you know, gender equality and racial diversity and shit like that, but don't nobody want to stand behind it when the chips are down, all right? Or when people start like answering the call, pun intended, to be like, okay, like we are gonna get more racially diverse. We are gonna fucking get some gender equality around here. You know what I mean? We're gonna fucking take this old franchise of 4 dudes and we're gonna put 4 girls in it. Oh, what the fuck? How dare you fuck with that, you piece of shit? You know, like that's how people are. They turn on you on a dime, okay? You wanna see this shit happen again? Let me tell you what. Let me see. Who can we take? You could take Spider-Man. There was a while back during the Amazing Spider-Man days when Andrew Garfield had floated the idea of making Spider-Man gay, where he was like, you could make Spider-Man, or like Spider-Man's in Peter Parker, he was like, you can make Peter Parker gay because his sexuality doesn't really define his character. He's like, you can make him gay and you can make Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane a dude and they can fucking do that shit and that'd be interesting. I don't remember how people reacted to that, but me being a huge Spider-Man fan, I don't give a fuck if you make him gay. If you want to do that, honestly, I would say just make your own superhero and make him gay. But I understand how, like I said, you got these like fucking shady ass people, these two-faced people out here where if you do that shit, they're gonna shit on it. Okay, so like I understand if you want to take, they're gonna shit on the new character being gay, I would assume. But like if you want to take like a well-established character and be like, this dude's already set and ingrained, he's Peter Parker, he likes Gwen Stacy, or he loves Gwen Stacy, he likes Mary Jane, we're just gonna fucking make him gay, we're just gonna try it out, everybody chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? I understand how you want to do that because you want to just grab people in with the property. But, you know, there's two-faced people out there that ain't gonna be cool with that. You know, if you don't believe me, you just watch. One of these days, somebody's gonna come around here. It's gonna be years from now when we're past all this fucking shared universe bullshit, and somebody's gonna come around here and pull a Christopher Nolan and be like, I got a great idea for Batman. I want to make that motherfucker gay, okay? Because his sexuality doesn't define him, you know? So I want to fucking make Batman gay, and we're gonna see what happens. This is gonna be the dopest Batman movie ever. And it probably would be the dopest Batman movie ever, but we never know, because y'all bitches will fucking hate on it, and you wouldn't go see it. Don't even try to act like you wouldn't. I know who you are, okay? I see you motherfuckers all the time, because, you know, I don't like crowds. You know what I mean? When I go out in crowds, I look at your ass, and I study you, and I know who you are, okay? You can't hide. I see that shit. I got those Shinigami eyes, motherfucker. Anyway, moving on. Or not moving on. Going back to the Ghostbusters thing just for a minute. I'm going on rants here. Can't help it. I do hope that the movie gets a sequel because, like I said, I did like the movie. I enjoyed it. It was actually like more funnier than I expected it to be. So hopefully they get a sequel and get Kate McKinnon back and have her do her thing on screen, and I'll live happily ever after. But we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, they're floating around the idea of doing new movies in the franchise, but that don't necessarily mean they're gonna bring back the girls and suit them up again and send them on another adventure. They can fucking go and make it like 3 dudes and 1 girl, or they'll make it 3 girls and 1 dude, or they'll just be smart and do fucking extreme Ghostbusters like I told you to do last year and probably the year before that. Who knows? Now we're moving on. Going to Batman. That was why I did the whole Batman thing. I was supposed to segue into this next story. So Christopher Nolan is talking some shit, not really, but just expressing his opinions on Netflix and their whole situation with their original movies. And if I read the article correctly, he's basically saying that he doesn't understand why they don't release their movies in the theaters first and then have them released on Netflix. So, you know, because he's like, who was the other person who said it? I think it was Martin Scorsese, where they were talking about movies are meant to be experienced in the theater. It is a theater experience, so you need to go to a theater and get the full experience of the movie. And he doesn't understand why Netflix refuses to do that and forces everybody to like buy into their subscription and watch their movies on the streaming site. So so that was his whole like view on things, and I guess like they asked him would he ever be down to like do an exclusive deal where he like did a movie and then like it went to Netflix and only Netflix and never hit theaters, and he was just like, the way I see it, the movie was made. The movie is a theoretical. I can't talk tonight for some reason, but he said the movie is a theatrical experience, so it needs to be seen in theaters. I got it out. Oh God, something's wrong with me. I think I'm dying. So that was his stance on this thing. So basically, long story short is he's saying that he's not going to do an exclusive movie for Netflix without it hitting theaters first. So here's the thing. I half agree with Nolan, but I do understand from a business perspective at what Netflix is doing. First of all, Netflix does so many fucking movies now. I think they do more movies. They probably do just as many movies as they do TV shows on their subscription thing. I recently started using my Netflix again, and like, man, there used to be a time when I was on there and it was like you had House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, and that shitty Hemlock Grove show. Now it's just like all these fucking shows that are like Netflix originals, dude, like the fucking OA and 13 Reasons Why and shit like that, man. And then like there's so many movies that are Netflix originals on there as well, and they even have like anime and shit now. They have way too many movies to like try and put any of those in theaters. And I mean, like, I kind of don't want to say this because I've only seen one movie on Netflix, but the movie that I watched on Netflix, it wasn't that it was bad. It just, I feel like it was fine seeing it there. It wasn't worth seeing in a theater, in my opinion. The movie was called Arq, ARQ. And it was about this guy who has a time machine in his house. It's like a post-apocalyptic movie, and this guy has a time machine in his house, and he keeps repeating the day over, and he has to like figure out why the day keeps repeating, and there's like all this shit that happens in between. And it was a pretty interesting movie, but like I said, it wasn't necessarily worth going to see in theaters. You know, it was kind of weird. So like, if I'm gonna assume that the majority of Netflix's movies are like that, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they don't want to go and put them out in theaters first and then have them on Netflix. The other reason is too is that Netflix is in a serious amount of debt. Like, they spend stupid amounts of money to get their original series and original movies and all this other shit that they're doing. And I'm sure that cutting out the middleman, which is the theater distributors, kind of gets them a little bit of that money back, or at least makes some kind of dent. So, and they must see enough rise or enough growth in the numbers of subscriptions, whether it's to watch their shows or their movies. They must see enough growth in those charts to where they're just like, we don't need to put our movies out in theaters. If people want to see our movies, they'll just fucking come, get the subscription, and watch our shit at home, you know? Cause let's be honest too, dude, like, theater viewings are going down. I mean, I wouldn't know, because when I go to theaters, there's still a shitload of people in there, and they're all fucking shitheads. We've been through this before. But all in all, overall, theater attendance is down, and a lot of people have like theaters set up in their damn house. And if it's not a theater, they at least have like a badass surround system in their house to where they can still get a similar experience in the comfort of their own home, to where they don't have to sit next to an asshole being on their phone and talking all throughout the movie. Sometimes, you know, but still, they can get the theater experience in their homes nowadays. And I feel like Netflix is kind of like just there already, where it seems like the movie industry is kind of moving to. I've talked to plenty of people who or some in the movie industry who have said the exact same thing, where they're like, yeah, it's like theater attendance is down, and there are steps being made to move movies from the theaters to the homes. Maybe not completely, but like at least close that gap to when a movie's in the theater and to when it comes out on video and shit. Like, there's meetings that are going on right now to this day where like that shit is starting to come into play, and and you can slowly see it starting to take effect and or come to fruition with us. So yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is, like, obviously Christopher Nolan's kind of watching what he says, because maybe he sees it as well. Although that dude is so passionate about movies, I could see him like still just putting movies out in theaters. Like, he'd probably do like a fucking tour. He'd be like, hello, look, my name is Christopher Nolan, and I just made a new movie, and since movie theaters don't exist anymore, I'm going to go on a movie tour, and we're going to set up chairs and a big ass screen in the park, and we're going to watch my new movie, and then we'll put it out on Netflix, you fucking asshole. I don't know. I don't know how Christopher Nolan sounds when he talks, but I could see him doing something like that if it came down to it. The other thing that Netflix is, like, the other problem that they probably have putting their movies in theaters as well, is that, like I said, they do have a lot of movies on their site, but then if they were to put them in theaters, it's like, okay, we have so many movies, we can only pick a certain amount to actually hit theaters. How do we do that without offending somebody? Because you know there's going to be that incident where it's like, if some I won't say no name, but let's say like some non-household name director makes a movie, and let's say he makes a good movie, and he's like, I'd like to have this in theaters. And Netflix is like, yeah, but Martin Scorsese over here just made a movie, and we want to put his out in theaters first, or just his out in theaters, period, because he's Martin Scorsese, he's got star power, he can bring in more eyes, so why don't you just fucking take a seat? You know, that'd be an awkward conversation to have. So maybe that's another reason why Netflix refuses to go that route. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna happen. Anyway, moving on. I don't know if I said it or not. That story was courtesy of Screen Rant. Speaking of rants, but anyway, now we're going to go over to Cinema Blend for the last news story. There's been some promotional shit happening for the Death Note movie. It's going to be coming out next month. And I'm getting worried, man. They're showing like all these character posters. So like, I think they've shown Light, they've shown his girlfriend. I can't remember her name. I think it's Marjorie, or I don't know. They've shown her, they've shown Elle, and they've shown Ryuk. And I don't like the way Ryuk looks, okay? He looks like he does in the Japanese version of Death Note. He looks like he does in the anime, pretty much. And I did not expect them to do that. I mean, I was hoping that they would just keep it to a more practical route where you just like dress William Dafoe up in black. You maybe pale his skin a little bit, give him some black lipstick, CGI his eyeballs to where they're red or something, you know, or just give him freaky ass eyes. I would have preferred them to go that route, but they've been like talking about the whole process and how they brought his character to life on the movie. And it sounds like they just went the CGI route. But like they were saying how, so the director of the movie, Adam Wingard, was saying that at first, when they were trying to figure out how they were going to do that character, at first they had built like an animatronic type situation, and then they scrapped it. And then they were like, we're just going to have a tall actor stand in on the scenes where the actors have to react to Ryuk. And we're just going to have a tall guy there, and then he'll say like the lines that William Dafoe is supposed to say, so the actors have something to go off of. But then we're going to go back in, and we're going to like put the CGI character over him, or just put him in his place. And we're going to put Dafoe's voice in there, and his mannerisms and stuff. Because I guess like, because William Dafoe, I guess, is just doing voiceover and mocap. So they got him in the mocap suit. They got the balls all over his face so they can get all like his expressions and shit like that. And they're going to transfer all that into a CGI character into the movie. And then hopefully it's a more organic kind of performance, because with the tall dude being on set for the actors to react to, like everything should be a nice melding and everything. So they're going the CGI route is the base of the story. And I don't know, man. Judging off that poster, I don't know how that's gonna look, but we'll just have to wait and see. I don't think they've like fully shown him moving around in like in the movie yet. I think they screened it at Comic-Con actually, so you know, so far nothing's come out that I've seen. But I don't know, I'm a little worried, dude. If you ever seen the old Japanese version of the live action Death Notes, like they literally, like they just legit didn't give a fuck. They made that character completely CGI, and they did the same design as he is in the anime, and it just looks awkward and bizarre. I'm just like, all right, you know. So I was hoping that the US version would kind of like rectify that mistake, but apparently that's not what they're doing. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. But so far, I'm worried about the movie. I'm not liking how the characters are looking so far, with the exception of L. Like, I don't know why Light has like blonde highlights, or just, I can't remember if he has highlights or if his hair is just blonde, but I don't know why they made him look the way he does. The way L looks, his whole like wardrobe that he's got makes sense. I don't want to go deep into it because it could give away some story stuff that's actually really cool if they're gonna go off of what they do in the anime. But his character design makes sense for what they did. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see, man. It's right around the corner. I think it comes out August 25th. I'm looking forward to it, because it's either that or I'll probably end up getting dragged to somebody's house to go watch the stupid McGregor Mayweather fight. So hopefully I can sit at home and just watch Death Note and be here to tell you about it on whether it was good or bad. So yeah. Oh, the other thing is too, well, what fucking budget does this movie have to where they built an animatronic Ryuk and then scrapped it? Like, animatronics ain't cheap, damn it. Like, why do you think there's so many fucking computer effects in movies now? Because that shit is cheaper than somebody building a big ass doll of some winged dude with biker jeans on and all kind of other shit, eating apples and everything. Like, what? We fucking built the animatronic and then we scrapped it because it wasn't working out. It's like, bitch, like, what the fuck you doing with my money? That's what the executives say, not me. Anyway, it is trailer time. Time to get into the trailers. And no, I am not going to be talking about the Infinity War trailer. Why? Because that was shown at Comic-Con. I wasn't at Comic-Con. Apparently there's some videos floating around because there were people in the auditorium and they recorded the trailer that they showed. And, you know, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about how great it looks and how they can't wait and all this other shit. And that's cool. I'm excited too. I'm really excited for Infinity War. You want to know how excited I am? I'm laying it down right now. I ain't watching the fucking Infinity War trailer. Ever. Well, not ever. Not until I see the movie. Okay? I've tried to do this numerous times and I've failed miserably. I tried to do it with Avengers and I failed. I tried to do it with Winter Soldier. I tried to do it with, what the fuck was the movie? God damn it. With Avengers 2, I tried it with that. I think the only movie that I successfully, completely, like, did not watch the trailer was Iron Man 3. And I enjoyed that movie. It was one of the best movies I'd seen in my life. Well, it was one of the best movies I've seen that the MCU has done so far, right? But everything else, like, I've tried to avoid the trailers, like, just the stuff that I care about. Like, I don't give a fuck about seeing the Thor trailer. You know, I saw, you know, that's going into regular movie Chewsday law where we watch the first trailer that they show and everything else we completely skip and ignore until the movie comes out. But like for this movie, the Infinity War movie, this is something really special. This is like the biggest movie to happen since Avengers, you know. So I'm going to do it this time. All right. I'm going to fucking build up my willpower. And I'm not going to watch this trailer at all until the movie comes out. Why? Because I don't want anything spoiled, okay? I want to go in as fresh as fucking possible. Bel Air style, all right? So I'm not watching it. And it comes out, I'm going to do my dance. When I go in theaters and it comes on, I'm putting on headphones, I'm putting my head down, I'm not paying attention to it, I'm not watching it whatsoever. Now, there's going to be times where it does sneak up on me. You know, 1 minute, you're watching an episode of The Simpsons, and the next minute, a fucking Audi commercial comes on. You're like, oh, man, it's a nice Audi commercial. It's like, watch Avengers Infinity War. It's like, oh, my eyes. You're going to do some shit like that, okay? So, I mean, that shit I can't help, all right? But I'm not watching it. I may see, like, little snippets here and there when they trick me, and then I'll let you know what happens. But other than that, it ain't happening. In my brain, I got the trailer built up already. So, like, that'll be the first trailer that we talk about is my imaginary Avengers Infinity War trailer. All right, so imagine in a world. So it starts out, right? It's just a shot of the sky. And there's going to be a voiceover of Thanos just, like, talking shit. It's like, your fucking... What does Thanos sound like? Your world is fucking beneath. Oh, wait. No, he didn't. He did talk. What? Boy, your world is nothing. You carry something that I want, and I will bury you to get to. You know, he's going to do some shit like that. So, all right. So, getting back to it. So, the scene starts out, right? And it's just a scene of this. It's just a shot of the sky. You got Thanos' voiceover just monologuing the fuck out of everybody. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing, like, lightning. And then you see this dot in the sky, and it just gets closer and closer and closer, and then bam, it just smacks into the ground, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, the camera just like kind of like starts to peer over, and you see this fucking red and gold armor, and it's fucking Iron Man, and he's beat to shit. And he's just like getting up on his feet, you know, he's like kind of struggling to get up, his parts of his suit falling off, and his fucking helmet falls. You see Robert Downey Jr., he's all bloody and everything. And then it fucking like just cuts to an over the shoulder behind him, and you just see like this shadow walking towards him, right? And it's fucking Thanos. And he's just kind of doing his walk where he's got his, well, no, he don't have his hands behind his back, because I think that's what Darkseid does. So like he's just fucking walking, so you see his big ass figure walking up to him, and he starts talking shit again. He's doing the whole voiceover monologue thing as he walks up to Stark, right? And then it gets a close up on Stark's face. It's kind of like an isometric view. The camera starts to pull back, and then it starts to drop a little bit. It's still on Iron Man, and then behind him, you start seeing these shadows come up behind him. And it's just all the fucking Avengers, dudes. Black Panther, it's Thor, it's Hulk and everybody, and they're just like running up from behind Tony, and then it just cuts to them like just jumping at Thanos, and he's just smacking people away, and he's fighting them, and he's choking people. Like, he's holding one person in his hand by the throat, and he's like smacking away another person, and he just slams the other person, and he's holding his throat down to the ground. And then Iron Man starts to get involved, where he's kind of struggling with him. He's trying to shoot the beams, and Thanos is smacking his hand away, and he's fucking crushing shit. And then he just fucking bring out his goddamn gauntlet and just punches down the ground, and the scene just ends, and it goes black, and Avengers Infinity War pops up. That's my trailer for Avengers Infinity War. Now, you tell me that my trailer is not better than the trailer that you saw. All right? Mine is better. Fuck you all. Anyway, moving on to the next trailer. It's the best trailer ever. Dude, I wish like I had enough star power to where somebody with like animation talent could like put that trailer together. It'd be like the best thing ever. You get all kind of views. It go viral. Anyway, let me get myself together. All right. Now, next up is Lucky Logan. And I'm looking for my phone because once again, I forgot to get the date on it. So here's the thing with Lucky Logan. I've been seeing this display in the theaters, right? And it's a big ass picture of Daniel Craig with blonde hair sitting on a Camaro, and then Channing Tatum's in the shot. I think Adam Driver's in there. And then the one chick whose name I can't remember, I think her last name is Kyo, but she was in that Girlfriend Experience show. So they're all like in this, and it just says Lucky Logan. And I'm like, oh, Daniel Craig, you know? I'm like, all right, what are you up to, right? And so I finally watched the trailer. It came on TV a couple days ago, and holy shit. It's fucking directed by Steven Soderbergh. The guy who did Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. Dude, it's a fucking heist movie. Why the hell would I not go see this when it comes out? And it actually looks good too. So I guess it's like just these brothers. They're like rednecks or whatever. They're just, you know, I don't think they're all together up in the head. They're kind of like unreliable and just, you know, I don't know. They don't seem like pretty capable thieves, but I guess they devised some kind of plan to rob a motor raceway, and they start going to get like their crew together, you know, their specialists, and Daniel Craig's character is like a bomb specialist, but he's in jail, so I guess they gotta like get him out of jail, and then they all get together to go and rob the racetrack. So it looks really good, and I want to see it when it comes out, obviously. Daniel Craig looks like he's in rare form in this movie. I think the most animated I've seen him outside of Bond was a Tomb Raider movie, but he wasn't like eccentric or anything like that. He was just more of like kind of a cool Indiana Jones type character. He was like he probably was as close as you could get to Nathan Drake in a live action movie in that Tomb Raider movie. But in this movie, he's like going full blown, dude. He's like full blown psychopath, like explosive expert. You know, he's got a little, I think he's got a little Cockney accent or something in the movie as well. So it looks really good though. And then it's good to see Adam Driver in something else, because I don't watch that show Girls that he's in. I've only seen him in The Force Awakens, but then I did see him do the Star Wars spoof on Saturday Night Live, and he's actually pretty funny. So I like to see that carry over into this movie, because it's going to be like a little dark comedy type movie. And it comes out August 18th. And that chick's name, who I couldn't remember, is Riley Keough. I'm pretty sure that's how her last name is pronounced. But yeah, so Lucky Logan, August 18th. Look forward to it. Look forward to seeing more of my boy Channing Tatum, because, you know, I recently become a fan of him. So, you know, it's going to be cool to see him flexing his comedic and heisty chops. Next movie. And I thought this movie was a fucking joke, okay? So like I got this thing, I'm like deeply ingrained in Sony shit, you know, I got game systems and all that. And they have like this rewards program. So like if I go see a movie that Sony produced or distributed, I can take a picture of my movie ticket and I get Sony points. I get reward points, right? Doesn't really give me a lot of points, but I mean, like, it's better than nothing. So, you know, when I was doing this for Spider-Man, when I was redeeming my points, there was something that said like the Emoji movie. And I seriously thought like this was a joke. I thought it was an ad because it was like at the bottom of the screen. I was like, is this a fucking ad, dude? You know, an Emoji movie? Like, get the fuck out of here, right? So then I'm listening to the Unlucky Dreamer podcast, and they talk about the Emoji movie. And they were saying something about like there was a rumor where if this movie flops, Sony's going to probably have to end up selling their Sony Pictures brand, right? Man, I'm sorry to say, dude, like I watched the trailer for this movie twice, and it ain't looking good for Sony if that rumor is true, because this movie just does not look interesting at all. Now, don't get me wrong, dude. Like, I don't mind you making a kids movie, all right? Because God knows we need a little bit more kids movies. I mean, you go and see these Marvel movies, and they say that they're directed towards families and kids and shit. You know, like it's like good for all ages. But there's some shit that happens in the Marvel movies. I'm like, I don't know if a kid should be seeing this type of shit. You know what I mean? They're doing some pretty gruesome things right now. But then again, like when you think about the animated movies that they do too, they got a lot of like adult humor in these animated movies that like Pixar and Disney been doing lately. So I don't know what the fuck to believe anymore, and I don't expect anything different from this Emoji movie. But like honestly, dude, like watch the trailer and tell me that movie does not remind you of Wreck-It Ralph. It looks like it's the same premise of Wreck-It Ralph. Like I had to watch it twice because the first time I was like, I don't know if I just like lost interest and I was just so shocked and appalled that they were actually making an Emoji movie. But like I watched it the second time, and I guess it's about some emoji where he's like the meh. He's supposed to, you know, like meh, you know, he does that. But I guess he also has other personalities. So then he goes on some quest to, I don't know if he's trying to figure out what type of an emoji he is or whatever, but it all takes place within a cell phone, and then there's like a network of other cell phones and shit that they all run off of. And just watching the whole thing reminded me of Wreck-It Ralph, but like Wreck-It Ralph was a good movie, and this movie just doesn't really look good. And you know, I don't know. I'm not going to go see it, okay? I thought about it. I'm not going to lie. I thought about it, and that was just because at work lately, me and some coworkers have been, like, playing this game where we use emojis to, like, describe movies, and we got to kind of, like, decipher the emoji to figure out what movie they're trying to, like, say it is. I guess that is a game on the internet, but, like, we do it at my job when we have time. So, like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, maybe I should go see this because we've been playing this stupid game at work, right? But then I was like, nah, fuck that. No, I can't do it. I can't give Sony money for this because this movie looks like shit, and it's also a kid's movie. And you know, when I go see a horror movie and there's a kid in it, that's the parents' fault and that's the kid's fault for being fucking idiots. But when I go into a kid's movie and kids start wilding out, that's my fault and I'm the fucking idiot, and I don't like when that happens. So I don't feel like going and sitting on that fucking grenade to go and see if this movie is actually good or not. So, no, it's not happening. I didn't look up the date, but I do remember it being July 28th. So that's tomorrow, today, whenever you watch this, yesterday, who the fuck knows, or listen to this, whatever. But yeah, the Emoji movie, who gives a fuck? Stick with me. We're almost done. Movies. Movie. Valarian and the City of 1,000 Planets. I really was looking forward to seeing this movie. And I guess it's my fault that I kind of built it up in my head. You know, I was just kind of going off of my whole nostalgia for The Fifth Element. And I was thinking, we're going to strike again with this. Strike gold. We did not strike gold. This movie was not that great. Wasn't as great as I wanted it to be. It's a very, very beautiful movie, which seems to be a trend nowadays, where like movies, just as far as cinematography and set design and visual effects and stuff, are just like top notch, dude. Like Atomic Blonde's like that, Ghost in the Shell, and now Valarian. It's, you know, movies look great, but they just fail to like hit that balance between how the movie looks, how the movie plays out, how the music is, how the emotions are, the fucking ticks that you're supposed to be hitting. They just lack these certain things, okay? And Valarian is no different. So where do we start? Well, let me just first, like I said, movie's beautiful. I really liked the set designs that they had. Like the worlds that they were in were very believable. There was a nice mixture between a computer effect and a practical effect. Like there are times where it's like you can tell they're on green screen, but even when they're doing like the live action characters on the green screen stuff, they seem to like actually belong in the scene. It doesn't really look lopsided. And the one time it does, it actually makes sense as to why it is lopsided. So it's impressive the way they do that. So shout out to Terry Arbogast, the cinematographer of the movie. So shout out to them, because I thought they did a very great job as far as like the overall look of the movie. And the reason why I wanted to like, I'm you know, busting off at the nuts with the whole visuals is because apparently this movie was an independent movie. It was a crowd-funded independent movie that Luke Besson put his own money into as well. So like, what the fuck kind of crowdfunding did you do? I do not remember seeing this on Kickstarter or Fig, wherever the fuck that other one's called, like, or GoFundMe or anything like that. I don't remember seeing anything like this. So like, there was some crazy money that went into this movie, dude. Like I said, it's a beautiful looking movie. Here's the gripes, okay? So before we get into the gripes and the whole critique of everything, just know, I know that the movie is based off of a comic or graphic novel, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I never read the comics. I never even heard of Valarian until the movie said that it was based off of a comic book. All right. So just keep that in mind as I'm going through all this shit. So first gripe is Dane DeHaan, the lead, Valarian. All right. Not that great in the action department. Okay. Like when you want to cast Dane DeHaan as a smarmy little teenage bastard or just a fucking asshole villain, very awkward kind of teenager, some shit like that, just an awkward character in general, just really dry kind of sense of humor, Dane DeHaan's your man. But in the action department, he did not deliver for me. And I was hoping he would. I was hoping he was going to pull a Bruce Willis, but he lacks charisma, dude. He's too monotone. Okay, like when they're doing the action scenes, it's like there's cool shit happening, but it's like there's no like real effect happening for me. I'm just kind of like watching shit happen on screen and all these flashes and explosions, and he's just, it seems like he's just kind of like, he's trying his best. Like, I'm not gonna say he like fucking lackadaisied his way through it, but like I could see that he was trying, but it's something about his cadence that just doesn't carry across as an action hero, dude. He lacks that thing that people like Bruce Willis have, whereas like Bruce Willis has range, dude. Like he can play like that laid back kind of low key role, you know, like really dry sarcasm, but then he can also like amp it up for action scenes, dude. He's fucking yelling, he's cracking jokes and shit like that. You know, same with Brendan Fraser. Like Brendan Fraser's a goofy dude, but in The Mummy, dude, like he had a good melding of like his comedic timing and just his fucking action prowess. And that was something that I felt like Dane DeHaan was lacking in this movie. His character just wasn't believable. Like, he's supposed to be like this badass space cop, and I wasn't buying it. Okay. His partner, Loreline. So like they're both space cops and they're partners, and apparently they've been partners for a long time, and we'll get to that in a bit. But like, he's got an attraction to Loreline. Okay. So like, all through the movie, he's just kind of like flirting with her and confessing his love to her. He's like, oh, you know, we should get married. You know, you should be with me. We should be together. You're the one for me. Or this other shit like that, right? And it just doesn't come across as like he really likes her. It always seems like he's just fucking with her, you know? And apparently he's like some Playboy womanizer in the movie as well, where they're like, oh, you know, you've been with all these girls, you know, what do you want me for? And he's like, oh, you know, all those girls mean nothing. You're the one for me. And it's like, it was like that. And it was very like, I just went into it. I wasn't feeling it. It just wasn't believable. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just, I don't know. So like, from there, we'll go into Cara Delevingne's character, Loreline, where she's better. Like, her whole situation is, her character is more believable. She's actually a pretty badass character. The only sad part is that she's mostly relegated to just being in the background or being a damsel in distress. Like, she has her moments to shine, but for the most part, she's just kind of like in the back. And that makes sense because the movie is called Valarian. It's not called Valarian and Loreline. So I don't understand, but still, I feel like she should have been like taking up most of like the action going on in that movie. I felt like she delivered a lot more physically and emotionally than Dane DeHaan did. Like, her character, you know, they do the whole like will they won't they type thing with the characters, and I feel like her character is a little better at showing some affection for the character Valarian than Valarian does for Loreline. So yeah, there's that. So going back to like the chemistry between them, I feel like there was no chemistry between the two actors. Like, personally, I'm not saying that they hate each other. It's just that they're supposed to be doing this whole will they won't they thing, and it's just one of those things where I'm just like, I get why you're into her. Why the fuck is she into you? Like, what would make her attracted to you, you know, besides you just being a fucking action hero? Which gets us into this problem that I've had for the longest time in movies. I've talked about it before, but I'm tired of like two people being attracted to each other just because they're around each other all the time. Like, that's not how it works all the time, okay? And it's getting old. You need to get more creative with it. And with them being partners, you're to assume that they've been partners for a long time because she knows about all the women they slept with. They kind of like go back and forth with each other, like kind of bicker back and forth. But for the most part, it's like, I did not sense any real chemistry between these two. I didn't get the sense that they've been together for a long time. The only time you get a sense that they like been in each other's company for a while, or, you know, is that how when one of them is in trouble, the other one just makes like a beeline for him. So if Valarian's in trouble, Loreline's going after him. And if Loreline's in trouble, Valarian's going after her. Like, and that's it. But at the end of the day, they're partners. So I feel like they should be like that regardless. So you need to do something more to show how fucking connected that they are. And the movie failed to do that. The other thing that, like, where they lack chemistry, where I just don't feel any like companionship between the two, is that they call each other by their full names all the time. Okay. Now, if you got like a small name, like, you know, Steve or Eric, I get it. Okay. Hey, Eric, what are you doing? Eric, no, don't go over there. Steve, look out. You know, that's understandable. When you got a fucking name like Valarian and Loreline, you're not sitting there like, Valarian, look out. Valarian, where are you? Loreline, no. Like, you don't fucking do that shit, okay? There's nicknames to be had around here. With a name like Valarian, let me help you out. Val, V, fucking Larry, okay? Loreline, Laura, Lori, fucking dude, we could do goddamn Riri for all I care. It's like Lenny, just like nothing. There's no like shortage of the names. Like I feel like that's a way to show how people like have a history, you know, like with me and my girlfriend, right? Like I rarely call her by her real name. I like have a nickname for her. And there was even a time where we were out somewhere, and I asked her for something. I was like, yo, Dizzy, give me this thing over here. And some chick was just like, oh my God, it's so sweet. You call her Dizzy? Like, that's so cute. And like you say it, like you mean it. And I'm like, yeah, man, you know, we've been together for a while. So, you know, I don't feel like saying her full name. I'm lazy. You know, shit like that. Like, just something. Just show me some kind of camaraderie between the two besides the fact that you're fucking partners, okay? That's like standard shit. When you got a fucking partner in a police force, you want to have each other's backs. That's a guarantee, okay? Fucking Valarian and Loran, get the hell out of here. Like, they ain't even got a goddamn nickname. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, the other gripe that I had was the side characters. There's like a shitload of characters that pop in and out of the movie, but there's like a couple of recurring ones. There's other ones that kind of like assist in the mission that they're on. And they just like, they fail to build like any kind of like real emotion with the characters. So like if something bad happens to them, you don't really give a shit. If something good happens to them, you get like a little chuckle here and there, but for the most part, like there's scenes where they want you to feel sorry for some of these characters. They want you to get attached to some of these characters, and it just doesn't work, okay? Because I think they just did a poor job at like fleshing out a lot of people. I can't even like remember half their names sometimes, you know? So like that was the other gripe that I had with the movie. But overall, dude, like it's just the movie. I mean, it was, like I said, it wasn't that good, you know, and that sucks too, because all the other shit I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the story of the movie. The story's like really not like super simple, but it's not like overly complicated. There's never really a time where you get lost in what is happening on screen, you know. In fact, it actually plays out kind of like a video game where it's like they have their main mission that they have to do, but then they have like these little side missions that lead into the main missions. That's pretty cool. So it's like you're kind of watching them go on these little adventures, and it's cool to see all that, but it's just like it kind of like gets a little disjointed, where Dane DeHaan's kind of like slugging through trying to be an action hero, and then you're sitting there wondering where the fuck Cara Delevingne's character is, you know, and when she's gonna pop back up again. It's just some shit like that, and it just it really sucks. And the movie, like I said, the story is really simple. It's like they're space cops, and they're on this mission that leads them to this space station where there's all these different space stations put together, and there's all these different like races and species of aliens in one like space station, where it's like one big city, and they all like share their knowledge of like technology and everything, and that's how like the city flourishes. And Val and Lori are like in this situation or on this space station, like trying to figure out this mission. Like apparently there's like a race of aliens who's like threatening to destroy the space station, and Valarian and Loreline have to like investigate it and figure out and get to the bottom of things. And it's like, and it's just an interesting little simple cop story to go through. So it's like, but it's just, there's just so many things that just where the movie, there's so many things that go wrong within the movie that the movie overall lacks substance, you know. The other thing that it lacks as well is like a proper movie score. So like the soundtrack in the movie is good, like as far as like the music choices that were made is good, but then there's like the musical score, which sucks in my opinion. Like it failed to really like garner any emotion out of me, dude. Like it's one of those things where you're just sitting there watching the movie with no expressions at all. Like usually I'm in the movie and I'm just like, oh shit, you know, like there's parts where your fucking heart starts racing, you're sitting on the edge of your seat, your blood pressure's rising because you don't know what the hell is gonna happen. And that didn't happen in this movie, and I feel a big portion of that as well had to do with the musical or the score of the movie, where there's shootouts happening, and it's supposed to be like this big thing, and there's all this cool shit happening, but there's no like real emotion that I was getting from it, you know. And speaking of like the shootouts, there's something off with the special effects or with the sound effects. And I don't know if it was necessarily the movie's fault or if it was something with theater's fault and their speakers, but there was something about the sound effects just weren't as poppy as they usually are. And I'm told that it had to do with where I was sitting, because I like to sit in the back of the theater because I don't like people sitting behind me. So somebody was saying like you need to sit in like the middle of the theater so that way the sound can kind of like hit you from all different ways. I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I've sat in all different spots of a movie theater. I've sat in the very front row. I've sat in the very back. I've sat in the middle. I've sat in the fucking handicap spots where the wheelchair people go. Like, I've sat all over the place. And I usually don't really notice a huge difference with the sound unless it is like a technical issue or unless there's something wrong with the sound of the movie. But, yeah. So anyway, yeah, Valarian. At the end of the day, dude, I don't recommend going to see it in theaters. That shouldn't be hard to do because it was a pain in the ass for me to see it in theaters. Like, they had like 3 showtimes for it, like on opening week, which was crazy. Like the shit that I had to go through to see this movie, like, just amplified my disgust for it. So, yeah. Valarian is not worth going to see in theaters. At the very least, wait for it to come out on cable or Netflix. And if there's nothing else on, check it out and see for yourself. Until then, save your money and go see something else that's not the Emoji movie. That's it for me. I'm tired. I'm hot. Hopefully, this can get encoded and posted on time. And hopefully, I will see you on the next one. Remember, enjoy it while you can, because you never know when it ain't gonna happen again. That was Movie Chewsday. Now is just another day. I'm out.
And it was just another day, yeah.
Just another day.
Until I went to the movies, now it's a movie Chewsday.
Just another day.
A movie Chewsday. Until a movie Chewsday.